Hey everyone, welcome back to What the Fertility. Today we have Analeah with us. She is a Nicu mom and IVF warrior, and she's just navigating life after infertility and loss. We are so excited to hear your whole entire journey and to be on with us. So welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I have listened to your show for a while, so it's such an honor to finally meet you face to face, and hop on here and share a little bit about my story and my journey. So first off, I'm Analeah. Hi, everyone who's listening. I am a advocate, a fierce advocate for infertility awareness, and as you already explained, I am a lost mom, um, infertility warrior. There's just so many different things, but I'm really excited to just hop on here and share with all of you. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on with us. We're honored that you're sharing your story for us and for our listeners. And so if you just kind of want to start from the beginning, when you met your partner, like, did you know you were going to have infertility or how did that all unfold for you guys?
Yeah, I feel like I listen to a lot of your podcasts, and I know that I think it's interesting because for me, I always knew that I was going to have some issues. When I was growing up, I had really irregular periods. My mom took me to the hospital numerous times, but I was really, really athletic. So I was always in sports, always busy. And so the doctors said that it would just kind of fix itself once I like got out of school and was less into sports and things. So I was, you know, that was the explanation. And of course, later, as when I got out of school, I had other issues. I Once I got out of school and I started, thinking about these things, and there's like lots of things attached. I had I have PCOS, so of course at the time I didn't know it then. I actually feel like it's kind of a new like diagnoses. I feel like when I was in my early 20s, this like wasn't a thing. It was just kind of like I had hair on my chin and I had, like my weight was all over the place all the time and there was just a lot going on. But the fix all, as for most of us, I feel like most millennials, was birth control. So I got on birth control and kind of just didn't think about it because it wasn't, top of mind. Having a baby wasn't top of mind yet, but I did always know that I wanted a family. And then I met my husband, and we talked about having kids, and I explained, already that I would probably have a hard time. Like I had maybe one period a year. Um,
Wow, that's even on the birth control, it would just be like,
so on the birth control, I was really terrible at taking it. And so I actually would like skip, to not have a period. So
yeah,
I don't know. I probably made it worse. And then, or when I would have a period, but then it would be like, I would mess up my pills. It would be like 8 years long. So
right.
it was awful. So anyway, birth control was not for me. Um, but yeah, naturally I only have like, one or two periods a year. So yeah, we went to our first infertility clinic in like 2014. So this is kind of like a decade long journey, and it started back then. There was lots of starts and stops and ups and downs, obviously, an emotional roller coaster. But when we first began, I feel like I was very excited and very it was almost like I didn't think that it would take this long. Like I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the fertility clinic. They're gonna like give me a pill, and I'm gonna be okay, and we're just gonna have a million babies. I remember like thinking, oh my God, what if we accidentally get pregnant with like quadruplets or like so ridiculous. And this was like I grew up in the time of like Octomom too. So I don't know
Like
if
it's
you've
so
ever heard of that.
possible.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
I mean, yeah, you make a good point. Like you identify that you're gonna have a hard time. You at the time didn't know you had PCOS, but you think like the hard part is like going to the fertility doctor. And like as long as you get past that, then you're gonna be fine. They can quote unquote fix you. But then they
Yeah.
Oh,
quickly find out.
I vividly remember like thinking, okay, once I get to the fertility clinic, like I know I'll just get pregnant. Like that's their job. Like
Yeah.
that's what they're gonna do. It's easy fix. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like everyone I talk to, that's their experience too. It's like we were so naive.
So naive. Yeah.
It
Oh my
was not that at all. But
God.
I will say some people do. Like, 'cause some
I
people are
know.
really, so if you're listening, I also don't want to take that hope because it does happen super
That's
fast.
such a good point. I know. I had a friend reach out that she's now trying for the second time, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I mean, I went to the fertility clinic and we got pregnant with our first IUI. Like, I thought I avoided the quote unquote horror stories, but it's just different for every pregnancy." So, okay, so
It
we're
is.
like 2020, 2014 or 2015 at this time.
Yeah. So yeah, and then from there, it just kind of, we ended up like taking a break. We got married. Because fertility clinics are really expensive. So we took a break. I had just gotten out of college. And then, life went on and we just kind of lived and like not preventing and trying naturally. I think that my husband had kind of a difficult time like understanding. Like he was like, well, let's just try. And, it doesn't work that way. But so I did all the things. We vacationed, we relaxed, we had fun, and all of those funny things that people tell you, to do, and it didn't happen. So we ended up. I moved to Oregon, and this was right before the pandemic. And my husband actually got stuck back in Arizona. So we were separated for about a year. And then COVID hit, so all of those things. And then finally we started our IVF journey in 2021 then. And 2021. And I did my egg retrieval. So I don't know about you guys, but my egg retrieval was brutal.
I was gonna say, anytime someone has PCOS and they have an egg retrieval, I feel like it ends up being brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal. And I do also have endometriosis as well. So I guess going back to the 2014 experience, last night I was going through and I was just making notes at like every chunk of time that, it was over 10 years. So it's a lot to think about. But one of the crucial moments at my first infertility clinic, I think was I had a HSG done, and if you don't know, if anyone doesn't know what that means, I'm sure you two do. It's when they put contrast or dye into your uterus and to see if it's normally shaped and to make sure that your fallopian tubes are clear. So everyone told me that after that they usually get pregnant. I did not. But I remember going in, and after that, they told me that there was going to be dye. And I got up and I was walking away, and I turned around and I saw like a bunch of red everywhere. And in my brain, it was blood. But apparently it was just the dye. And
Why
I
do
like,
they use red dye?
why?
You would think
Mine
it
was
was blue
blue.
or something. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think mine was blue.
mine was
I thought it would
blue
be
too.
blue. I
Yeah.
don't know. in my head, I was like, what?
Candy.
Like when I think of a pen or dye, I
Yeah,
think
it's
of
like a
blue.
black or
So,
blue or yeah.
And the reason I know it's blue is because the same thing happened to me. It was like
Like
everywhere.
yeah.
And that's
everywhere.
actually, I love that you said that because that's one of the things when people ask me, like, what should you prepare for an HSG? I'm like, wear underwear and don't wear like a dress or a skirt because I was like going straight to work and I was in a skirt. I'm like, oh my God.
It's like dripping down.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that's even worse. Yeah, yeah. It was, I was like, what is, and I thought it was blood. My dye was red.
you poor
And
thing.
Oh,
I like lost my mind. And I just remember thinking like that was the worst. And like I remember answering all of the questions and making all of the decisions. And it felt like the worst then. And I'm like, okay, I didn't realize like how much harder. Like, I was like, okay, this has got to be
yeah.
like the hardest part. you
Right. Was
know?
your HSG painful? I hear that often with people that have endo.
Yeah, it was. And I have like a tilted uterus, like the whole thing. Actually have a uterine anomaly also. But yeah, so that was my first little like welcome to the infertility community. But anyway, fast forward, I'm here in Oregon. I'm getting my egg retrieval and the first off, when you have PCOS, the medication is a little bit confusing because your when you have PCOS, you have a lot, like a lot of follicles end up stimulated, and so for me, they started like with a certain medication, and then that was making me stimulate too fast. So then I kept having to change, like in the middle of everything, I kept having to change my medication and kept having to change the dose. And it was insane. I did end up with OHSS, which is over hyperstimulation syndrome. I think that's what it stands for.
I
And
think too. I think that sounds
yeah,
right.
I'm like, don't fact check me or please fact check me.
Yeah.
But so it was miserable. So I was very swollen. My ovaries were the size of cantaloupes.
Jeez.
I like couldn't raise my hands above my head because like I was so it hurt so bad to just like stretch my body. I remember like I couldn't cough, I couldn't sneeze. Um, I had like 60 some follicles
Oh,
stimulated. And so they were like, we're going to have like, this is, it's too much. Like, and I said, just give me one more day. Just give me one more day. And like, there was a lot stimulated, but they hadn't reached like the centimeter or millimeter that they wanted. So they're like, okay, we'll give you one more day. But if not, like, we're going to have to cancel this, retrieval. And oh my gosh, I was like, I didn't just go through all of that. So it's so funny because my husband would give me, so they tell you to like have a lot of salt or whatever. And my husband would give me orange Gatorade. And to this day, I cannot drink orange Gatorade.
I was gonna,
It's
funny.
like,
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I bet that has like PTSD. You're like, don't give me that.
Yeah.
I'm so traumatized. Like, stay away from
Oh,
me, orange Gatorade. Yeah, that's all I could eat was like miso soup because my body was just like, it was awful. So I went the next day. Or my eggs were ready. I ended up retrieving 36 eggs, which got me 26 embryos, and ended up with 15 made it to blast. So we had 15 embryos, which is a great number. Um, they were tested really, really well, especially because I was already 35. So I was really happy with it. We did not do the testing, which for a long time I really regretted. I really felt like it wasn't working because I didn't do it. And it's just like, it's those things that you just focus on. And I think that that's one of the hardest parts about the journey is you blame yourself so much and think that everything along the way, like, oh, well, I should have done this and I should have done that. And that was really hard for me. But yeah, so that was my egg retrieval. And it's so funny because when you're in like the chat room or chat rooms, when you're in like, you meet other infertility moms or somebody reaches out on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I had one egg retrieval, six IVF transfers," and you kind of just like give your
Oh
highlights.
gosh.
So I'm going to do that because it's
Yeah.
just an easy blanket, and then we can kind of go through. But so I had only one egg retrieval, and then I had six IVF transfers, four miscarriages, um, five babies, because one set was twins. And now I have one baby boy. He was born at 25 weeks gestation. My water broke at 23 weeks, and he stayed 127 days in the NICU. And he's now 14 months, 10, no, 11 months adjusted. So that's just kind of the overview. My first two transfers failed. My third transfer, I got pregnant with twin girls. We were really excited, and it was right around Christmas, and my husband and I took our like announcement picture, and I did the surprise people thing, and that I'm glad that I got to experience that. I never followed the rules. I never like waited to 12 weeks or, all of that. I was After the first two failed attempts, I think it became a little bit more real that it was going to be a more difficult journey than I had planned. And so I just wanted to soak up every moment. I wanted to, be excited, and I wanted to tell the world, and I wanted to celebrate every win, every all the ups and downs, and all of that. So I did share with my family, and then I had subchorionic hematoma. So I was bleeding a lot. I lost a lot of blood, and I ended up having a miscarriage at 7 weeks with the twins. I did have to have a DNC. It was during, heavy still lockdown of COVID, and because I'm in Oregon, we pretty much locked down for like a few years, and my mom came, and it was like a whole thing, and we I ended up getting COVID at that time. So
No.
COVID, yeah. So COVID on top of going through a miscarriage was really hard, and it took a lot out of my body. And I think at that point everyone was like, okay, like, do you still want to keep doing this? And that sort of thing. So that was my third transfer. I waited a while after that, and we did additional testing. And my transfer number 4, I got pregnant with a baby girl, another baby girl. And we were so excited. I felt like we had worked out all the kinks, and that this one was going to stick. And then I ended up having a miscarriage at 11 weeks. So I think that this was like such a huge turning point in my journey. I feel like, and I don't know for you too, if you like experience this at all, but like, it was just like, okay, like this is like, I can't keep doing the same thing. And I have to make some changes. I was completely like disconnected from my body, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I was so disassociated, and I started to realize, like, yes, the goal is a baby, but it's also important to have a connection, and like, I'm also important, and I need to feel okay, in all of this. And I started to really think about, I remember asking myself, like, okay, well, if I ended up pregnant tomorrow, like, am I gonna be okay? Like, is
Yeah.
this all
can
gonna go
res
away?
I can resonate with that so much. I think first off, like we're so sorry for all of your loss. I like that's devastating and for it to happen back to back, I definitely can understand. The disassociation was the first I had never experienced that until I had had miscarriage. And I think it was for me like with reoccurrent, it was just like, oh my gosh, I thought I did everything I could possibly do and it still doesn't work
Yeah.
for me. And then I too, like I think exactly, and I don't know, Amanda, if you felt this way, but like am I the best version of myself, or am I just at this point where I'm checking off these boxes
Yes.
to get pregnant? And I think I'm sure you'll speak to it with the pregnancy after loss piece of like, I'm at such rock bottom. Am I even in an okay headspace to be pregnant?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, you said that so well. Yeah, and I was like, this is, I mean, it's a serious question to ask yourself, right? Like, I wasn't sure. And then I feel like it's still like, it's weird to imagine that all of that happened, like,
Oh, for
because
sure.
because
Yeah.
I was so disconnected. I'm like, I don't even know. I
I
can't
think the
even remember
disconnected piece is
those.
so spot on. And Amanda, I know you went through this too of like your miscarriage with IVF, but we're all still on this timeline because it's like you're too
Yeah.
old, you gotta keep going. And so I think that's a really unique part of like infertility, pregnancy after loss, having embryos sitting there ready to transfer. It's like everybody's waiting on you and you're so anxious to get the baby that you don't want to take the time to do the mental work that really should be done. I mean, I didn't do it. I still haven't done it.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because, like, in that time period between like the first IVF clinic and when we started getting serious about IVF, I mean, and IVF is my only option because I have PCOS and endometriosis, so there's just a lot of obstacles, and the tilted uterus and the uterine anomaly. So I did the work. I felt like then, like, I went to yoga school. I like really like dug deep. I tried to like align all my chakras.
Yeah.
I ate perfect. I'm actually a vegetarian now. And I did all of the things that everyone was telling me to do. I gained weight, I lost weight, I exercised, and then I stopped exercise. Like, I just like flip-flopped all over the place. So I was really mad when it still wasn't working. I'm like, no, I did all the work. I don't need to
Yeah.
anymore. And so yeah, then after that I just completely disassociated.
Makes sense.
But yeah, that was a huge turning point. I feel like after I lost the baby girl, it was I mean, I lost her at 11 weeks. And so we had already had, like, the first heartbeat. And then that was like our 12-week appointment. And I started bleeding at about 8 weeks. And I was at my best friend's house, and she has 4 little girls, and I started bleeding, and I just like instantly was freaking out. And she was like, okay, just like lay down, drink lots of water. And her little girls like took care of me all day. I'm like, oh, women are just amazing. But I remember they like painted my nails and while I was asleep, and I woke up and there's like nail polish all over me.
Oh,
How cute.
I
very
was like,
sweet.
oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, so and then that was in Arizona, and I flew back, and I was I was bleeding. I didn't know what was happening, and I was trying to get back here so I could go to the doctor. And I ended up with food poisoning on the plane. So I like was having a
Oh,
miscarriage. I had food poisoning. It was a
oh
wild time. But
gosh.
yeah,
So
crazy.
horrible.
And so I got home and we went and everything was fine. And so it was really confusing. I had the subchorionic hematoma, and some women can bleed like their entire pregnancy and still be totally okay. So that is the most terrifying thing. But so everything was fine, and then they agreed to do like weekly wellness checks for me because I was so anxious. I'm like, no, something is wrong. Something
Yeah.
is wrong, and I was just so convinced. And when I went back for the 12-week, like, I know that viability is like at 20 weeks, but for me, there was like multiple, I guess, to stages to say.
Milestones for sure.
Yeah. So we went and and the baby had already, passed away. And I really truly feel like I just completely left my body. And my husband was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Like, he just like didn't understand, and I just couldn't even speak at this point. And I feel like the walk that day from the clinic to the car was like the longest walk ever. Um, and I remember passing all the pregnant women in the lobby. And I think that that's something that really, really has stuck with me. And when I talk to other moms, I kind of make it a point to like prepare them for the meeting the pregnant women in the lobby, like even if you're just there to like check and see if you're pregnant or you're going in for your retrieval or anything. I don't know why it is like, for me it was so significant and so representative of how I felt as a woman. Like, I have a really solid support group of women. I have four sisters. I mean, my mom is fertile. I have seven brothers and sisters. Like, I grew up in this small town where, everybody has big families, and so I always feel like I'm in a room full of pregnant women and I'm alone, like, and it's
Yeah.
just, it's so strange, but that really stuck with me. And after that, I was starting to, I think, find acceptance that maybe this might not happen. And my whole like narrative changed from like praying for a baby. I mean, I used to just pray and pray and pray every single day. Please give me a baby. And it kind of shifted to, please take this desire of wanting a baby away. Like,
Yeah.
I just didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and that was strange because I wanted to dream a new dream and I wanted to see a new path. And so I did a lot of soul searching. I like up and like took a random trip to Georgia. It was so random. And by myself, I like went to Savannah and I like rented a bike and got flat tires. Anyway, I rented a bike and I like cruised around Savannah and just like, I don't know, it was this really weird soul searching trip. But I have to share this one moment because I don't know, other women that I talk to have like similar like awakenings or whatever you want to call it. But there's this really, really pretty church in Savannah. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but so every day I would like go to the church, and I just really like seeing other churches in other cities. I just think that it's super interesting and familiar, but different. But anyway, so I kept going back and visiting this church, and every single time I went, it was like, oh, it's closed, or they're having a mass, or whatever. So I kept missing it, and finally, on my second to last day there, I went, and it was during mass. So then I went and had like lunch on a rooftop, and I met this big group of women, and they were, celebrating something, and they were like, come on, like, come take a shot. And so I was like, all right. So, it was a good time, and they were like, okay, let's go like hit this bar or whatever. And I was just like so ready to go. And then it was like this voice, it's so weird, but there was a voice in my head, and it said like don't go, like basically that's not what you're here for.
Mm.
So it was almost like, I know that I started to like blanket all of the pain with like fun, which is like not a bad thing, we all deserve it, but it was like I was there to heal. And but it was, nice, obviously. So I declined, and I rode my bike back to the church after having drinks. Sorry,
I
mom.
love this. No, I love this story. This is
Yeah.
amazing.
And I go back and I go in the church, and I light my candles, take my pictures, because again, it's just like a beautiful cathedral. And I go outside, and there was this man that I met like every day they have like little squares, so there's like parks everywhere. And I go, and the guy was there again, and I hung out on the bench, and I just like started to cry, because like the church was so beautiful, and it just like made me start thinking of everything I had been through. And I like leaned back, and I looked up, at the trees, and there was a, like, do you know what a June bug is? I don't know what the
Yeah,
actual, it's like a green beetle. I don't know
yeah.
if like it's called something else, but anyway, it's a June bug. And it came, and it like landed on my shoulder. And it was like the weirdest thing, because when a bug lands on you, you like typically like
Yeah.
swat it away right away. And I was like, huh. And it just like landed on my shoulder. And then it like just flew away. And it's so random, but it was like, something clicked in my head that it wasn't personal. Like, I feel like up to that point, I felt like my journey with infertility was so personal. Like I was being punished, like I had done something wrong, and it, like, this was my, you know, I had to pay, or, it
Yeah.
just
Wow.
felt so personal. And in that moment, I like realized that it's nature, like it's not about me specifically. It's just, the way it goes. And I don't know how to really explain that from the beetle, but it was like, it
That's
was like,
beautiful.
That is. Yeah.
yeah, it was like, I was just like one with the earth for a moment. I know that sounds so weird, but, and I understood that it just, it wasn't personal. And I went back to my room, and I didn't adventure anymore. I was like, okay, that's what I needed. I got here, I got what I needed from this trip, and I stayed in my room the rest of the time. It was just one night, and I vegged out, and then I came home, and I told myself, I'm going to have like the best summer, and I'm going to have a year that is just like fun. And I did. I took a year off, and I like learned to roller skate, and I like really yeah, I like worked on my relationships with my friends, because I felt like I isolated so much from them during my journey, because they were all getting pregnant, and I was just a mess, and I just felt like I brought the energy down, and like that. And so I just got closer with my sisters and my mom, and I just like really nurtured my relationship and built up my support system. I started doing acupuncture, which I swear by. I did. Do either of you do fertility acupuncture?
I
Oh
did.
yeah, I did it once a week for almost 2 years. And then I was like, okay, I can't afford this anymore. When is the best time to do
So
it during my
expensive. Yeah.
cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But no, it's great. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It truly, truly, I feel like it made a difference for me, because I mean, not only, there's so many benefits, obviously, but it was a dedicated hour for me to lay down. And that is like something I think is really hard, for me. Um, so yeah, I took some time off, and I went back. I started acupuncture. I, was in a regular yoga practice. I, was just enjoying life. And I went into my fifth cycle with like just an attitude of like, it's going to be okay if it works, and it's going to be okay if it doesn't. And I did start to imagine a new future. I started to think about like, okay, well, maybe we could like live in a different country, or, I still wasn't open to adoption or surrogacy at this point. And then my fifth transfer rolled around and it didn't work. And I mean, it did work. I had a chemical pregnancy. So that transfer was the first time that I could say I felt like I was in my body. Like I felt everything. And I could recognize like, oh, like I felt this, and I think this was implantation bleeding. And I think like I reconnected, and it was so amazing. And so I went back to the doctor, and I had just like just a new hope. And she was basically like, we've tried all these different things. You might start thinking about getting a second opinion, and or whatever you want to call it, like trying a different clinic. Maybe they have different, methods or whatever. And I told her, let's just do it one more time. Let's do it exactly how we just did it. Because I thought, like, okay, I think that it worked, but that the embryo, because I didn't test my embryos, I think the embryo was the issue this time. And I will say that my baby girls that I lost, once getting tested, they were genetically normal. So it was not a chromosomal issue, but I think that the chemical pregnancy was. No way to tell, obviously. But so she said, okay, we'll do it one more time. And I mean, I felt great, and I really felt like it worked. And there was a voice. There was a voice in my head that was saying like, no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I got pregnant, and I got a subchorionic hematoma again.
Oh, God.
And so I bled. I bled for about the first 15 weeks. My acupuncturist was amazing. She gave me something called a moxie, I think it was called. And
Yeah, where they light the, is it where they light the end of the,
yes,
I had that too.
so cool. And
Yeah.
I do feel like, so I feel like that's what worked. Like I would do it, I think, on my knees and my
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
And so the blood flow just like eventually went away, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think it's called moxie,
It
right? I
is.
don't know,
Yeah.
moxa, I don't, something like that.
Yeah,
But
I think it's probably a longer word. It's like a Chinese
yeah,
tradition, but they light the edge of the needle that goes in, right? Like there's something on the edge.
so this was a stick. It was called like a moxie stick, and it's like a cousin of mugwort or something like
Okay.
that. And you just do it over the point.
Okay, you're probably exactly right because I remember mine were like on like my lower extremities, my feet, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't see it. So I probably was like imagining that she was
Yeah.
like lighting the sticks on there.
Amazing.
You're all making it up.
I'm just making it up, I'm just like zinning out on the, and I love that you said that you were so in tune with your body because I know Amanda, you've gotten there and I've gotten there too. And I think a lot of that had to do with some of my acupuncture because you're laying on that table and you're like thinking
Yes.
where the points are going in and what it's doing to like internally to your body or what it's supposed to be doing or the benefit. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely a turning point. And I swear by acupuncture, and my acupuncturist was amazing. She specialized in fertility, and I miss her so much, but I'm like, I'm not doing
Yeah.
fertility right now, but, um, so, yeah, I bled the first 15 weeks, and then I had, just that few weeks of bliss, honestly, like from week 15 to week 21, I mean, I felt like crap. Don't get me wrong. Like my pregnancy was really hard. I had terrible, 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 do you call it? Like heartburn. I had to like sleep sitting up literally. But um
Oh, you poor
So you're
thing.
but I
like, I'm
was
not bleeding.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm like,
normal. I don't have,
yes.
yeah. I know.
So I and then week 21 hit and I lost my mucus plug and I was freaking out. Yeah, and I called the doctors and they're like, that happens sometimes. Like, then I went to see my acupuncturist and she was like, I think that we need to, like, I can advocate for you. Like, I think you should get checked. The next week my water broke, which is
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, I saw her like on a Friday and my water broke like that Thursday or something and I
you
was
must have
going to
been
get checked.
so terrified.
It was awful. It really was. And I truly didn't know that a baby could live without water, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I ended up like getting an infection or whatever, and so I had to deliver at 25 weeks. 25 weeks.
Perfect.
So yeah, and now I have, my little boy, and it was all worth it. And it's so interesting. I'm so glad that you welcomed me onto your show because it also gave me an opportunity to look back. Like I went through all of that and then immediately it was like Nicu, and now I'm on this other new journey of like being a medical mom. My son, he's doing great, but he does have cerebral palsy. And so we're in and out of the hospital all the time. And, PT, we have tons of specialists. And I mean, that's true of any NICU baby. I feel
Yeah.
like they follow you super close for 2 years. So I never really got time to like look back and reflect.
Yeah.
And last night I was just like making notes and, of my timeline because it's hard to even look back and remember. I mean, again, this was like a decade-long journey.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was a journey, and now we are starting to think of how we're going to grow our family. I still have 5 embryos left, and so we're open, a lot more open now to surrogacy. I don't have the opportunity to have or to carry another child. But I think it's opened a new world. And again, it's that acceptance piece and that piece of trying to dream a new dream. Like, okay, what does this look like now? Like, so yeah, that's
I love all of that. Thank you so much for being so open and transparent and an advocate. And I just love this whole like trying to dream a new dream. I got there in my journey, and obviously Amanda was in
mm,
her journey. Like it is so true. And I think we always like say that at a lot of the end of the times at the podcast of like, if you're open, if you have an open mind, like you will be a mom. If you have an open mind, there are
yeah.
so many options out there. You will be a mom to whatever your desires are. And I also resonate a lot, and I think Amanda you can too, with where you were like I was just trying to like take the desire of wanting to be a mom away, because that yeah, like that is so hard. Or like I mean like the mom of 2 or 3, like what our dreams were,
Mm.
and having to kind of like sit back and say like okay, maybe this isn't really going to happen for me. But thank you so much. You did such a great job of sharing your entire decade long experience, and congratulations on your son.
Thank you. Thank you.